Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to All Up on My Deck. I'm Marcel, co-host of Monday Night Magic on the MTGcast.com network. But this is All Up on My Deck. Now, what All Up on My Deck is, I make an original deck built around an underutilized mechanic card or theme. I test the deck, post my results, rebuild the deck, retest the deck, rinse and repeat till either I get a refined deck or I consider it a fail. Now, I encourage feedback and will incorporate good ideas in future deck builds. All credit will be given. Now, let's move on to this episode's deck idea. The deck being revisited is fully equipped Goblins. While the deck was effective, I felt that it was lacking. There was times I had enchantments and equipments in hand, but no creatures to use them on. I needed more creatures, and the obvious addition is more Goblins. What worked for the deck is that all the cards were fairly synergistic. It felt like they worked well together. What didn't work for the deck is that there wasn't enough creatures for the artifacts and equipments I had in there. It also ran out of steam and felt like certain matches were impossible to win. There's no surprise that the MVP of this deck is Spike-Shot Elder. The deck was built around this card, so obviously it's going to work well with it. I wonder what the next MVP will be though. So the direction I'm going to take the deck is that I'm going to cut green because the Umbras just weren't working well enough, and I want to add more Goblins to the deck. I'm also going to add white because I want to have access to Stoneforge Mystic, which is a very powerful card to work well with the equipments in the deck. The Umbras are the main reason why this deck is changing. While they are powerful cards, they just weren't effective enough with all the bounce around, Path of Judgments, and the infect creatures. The -1/-1 counters don't activate the totem armor. So the goal was Boar Umbra, Snake Umbra, and Bear Umbra. Beastbreaker or Balagid had to go, along with Garruk's Companion. They were both effective creatures because Greed's going, they got to go. I wanted to see if there would be a better mix of 4/2 instead of the 3/3, but both creatures were equally effective to me, so I think the 3/3 is just right. Bloodshot Trainee had to go. This card just wasn't effective enough for its casting cost. So next to go was Infiltration Lens. This was a decent card, but I didn't feel it was powerful enough for the deck. I'd rather have a Ballast Collar in its place. Livewire Lash had to go also for similar reasons. I'd rather have a Trusty Machete in its place. It just didn't work well enough with the Umbras. So that brings us to our new deck. So the biggest change to the deck is the addition of Stoneforge Mystic. 4 copies of this in essence ups the equipment count to 10. And is almost actually better than drawing the equipment itself. Because when you use a second ability, you don't have to cast the equipment, bypassing any counter spells. The other white card that's going in is 2 copies of Johnny Goldmane. The main reason he's in the deck is for a second ability, providing +1/+1 counters for your creatures. The counters work especially well with the Warden Instigator and Spike-Shot Elder, but also make all your other creatures more effective. I added 4 copies of Lightning Bolt. The deck really hurted not having any removal. Then why not put the best burn spell in the format in the deck? I added 4 copies of Goblin Chieftain. This is to work well with the Goblin theme of the deck. He provides haste to creatures as well as pumping them up. He combos well with the Warren Instigator and Spike-Shot Elder. I added 2 copies of Warren Instigator. This card proved to be very effective and powerful with the deck. And because there's so many Goblins in the deck, his second ability will be relevant. There's 2 copies of Ember Hauler. Ember Hauler is an effective beatdown stick with the added removal bonus. I added 1 copy of Ballast Collar and 1 copy of Trusty Machete. I did this instead of the other 2 equipments, the Infiltrator Lens and the Livewire Lash, because I wanted to see these equipments more often with this deck. So I added 4 planes to help deal with the white mana and 4 Arid Mesas. Okay, let's take the deck out there. Let's see how it works on the field. I feel this deck is going to be a lot faster than the last build. And after this run, I'm pretty sure it's going to be in the tournament practice room. Let's get this out there, see how it does, and check you out on the next episode. All right. How All Up on My Deck will work is that each episode will be a deck build, which is the video you just watched, where I'll go over the cards and break down the strategy behind the deck. Following that will be at least 2 deck test videos, one containing footage of the deck winning, one of that losing, which will give you an idea of how the deck performs on the field. The following episode will be a continuation deck build, along with its own deck test, and I'll continue that cycle until I move to a new deck idea. I will revisit older deck ideas if new cards come out that benefit the deck or I continue to receive good feedback. Remember that deck builds are influenced by your feedback, so please send me your suggestions, opinions, card ideas, or even mistakes I'm making. I could be reached at email at alluponmydeck.com, website coming soon, or through YouTube and Twitter at alluponmydeck, and of course on mtgcast.com. So check out the deck test videos in the next episode of All Up On My Deck.